Good evening and welcome to Dog Talk. This afternoon, we're fortunate enough to be at the New South Wales Utility Championships, and we're here with Kevin, Howell, and Gary. How you going, boys?
Good.
Yeah, a couple of good runs on the score on the board for both of you.
Yeah, I've got one good run.
Yeah, I've got a couple, 2 or 3 actually.
Yeah, we've got about 3, and it's got 3 dogs to go, unfortunately.
Yeah. Mate, you guys have been doing this for a long time. Between the two, you've been fierce competitors for a long time, both taking out big titles. Tonight, not sure if a lot of our viewers know that Kev and Kay are actually going to hang up their boots from running utility and yard trials after this year. They're still going to compete, but they're just after 20 years of the yard dog trial.
Yeah,
you mentioned? Yeah, and 10 years of the utility trial. Yeah. What you guys have won everything there is. Yeah. What keeps you going? Where's the passion come from?
The love of dogs for a start, and I'm probably like Gary. We're both got a very competitive nature, and we just like to do well in a sport that we really think's important. Like dog trialing is a sport, but it's also important for the rural industry because we're providing the quality dogs to do the work out in the real world.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll touch a bit on that again. Gary, for yourself, like what's your pinnacle of trialing? And
Oh, look, my main thing is utility trialing. Actually, that's the one I only do 5 or 6 trials a year, and 4 of them would be utility trials. And my trialing, I know Kevy's number 1 trial. If we could go to 180, to be the national Kelpie trial, wouldn't it?
That's right.
And I know Kevy's won it 10 times.
Yep.
And he won it the most out of anybody ever since it's been running for 60 years, I think.
Yeah, well.
And I won it 6 times, and I hopefully one day can hit up and equal Kevy's 10.
Yeah.
And if I ever do that, I just don't know. They're hard to win. They're very hard to win. So I've been chasing Kevy for a long time, and we've had some great rivalries, and we can always have a drink at the end of the day and have fun. And I personally like utility trialing because, like, I spent a lot of my life stock contracting, and it was the type of dog I wanted. Dogs that are good outside, and dogs that can put them through the yard when you want. I just don't want a yard dog or just a paddock dog. I want an all-round dog. And the late great Greg Prince used to do utility trialing too, and he used to say, even though he was the king of the 3 sheep world, he used to say utility trialing was the ultimate trial if you want dogs to that are handy on the station.
Definitely is the ultimate trial.
Yeah. And tonight, I actually didn't know that you actually got the nursery going. So anyone that isn't familiar with the nursery is like the beginner or to encourage if you're in yard trialing. You got that up and running yourself.
Yeah, it was my plan to set that up. We started here at Ugara, and we want it to be for raw beginners. We didn't want anybody that's won a trial to be able to go in the nursery. Like some other people put on a beginner's trial, but they allow a 3 sheep person to have won a 3 sheep trial. They allow them to go into their nursery utility or beginner utility. But I didn't want it that way. I wanted to be a real raw beginner. But they weren't allowed to win a trial anything above a novice or better in any other trial. So that's the way we set our nursery up, and it's been a very popular trial. Gary's taken it up now in England.
Yep.
And at Walker, they've taken it up at Walker trial as well.
Yep.
And it's encouraged a lot of people to begin utility trials, and they're all enjoying every bit of it.
And you touched on the industry before, like why utility is so important. Gary, where's that sit for you in types of where Kevin was talking?
Sorry,
you're just talking about like how utility trialing like works really good within the industry, like getting the dogs out there, but also educating people.
Yeah. Like it's utility trialing is very, very hard, and I just, like I said, because those dogs that can work outside and inside, they're type of dogs that most farmers want.
Yep.
They don't want just a yard dog or a paddock dog. They want a dog that can do most jobs, just about any jobs.
What do you look for in a good utility dog?
I love a dog that works correctly outside, but when they work correctly outside, they still got to have the punch and whatever to be able to get them through the yard. So they've got to be, no dog's ever 50-50. It's never ever split down the middle. They're always maybe slightly better in the paddock or slightly better in the yard. So I probably prefer a dog that works slightly better in the paddock because my whole life out in the country, I used to muster and work on is hard mustering country.
Yep.
And if you didn't have a good dog outside in the scrub or whatever, your job was just so much harder. So it's horses for courses. The further you go south in Australia, the more yard orientated it is. The further you go north or west, it's more paddock orientated. So it's horses for courses really, but I just wanted the all round dog, good all round dog.
Beautiful, mate. And Kev, what do you look for?
But when you go north, you're probably looking. A lot of people are more orientated towards cattle work too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you need a harder dog for that. But I don't want to breed that dog. I'll leave that up to somebody else. I want to breed the utility dog. You can do a nice big cast out in a big paddock. You leave him to his own devices. Let him bring the sheep into you. And quite often at home, if I've got a job to do, I'll send the dog out into the paddock before breakfast, and I'll go inside and have breakfast, and come back and he's got the sheep at the yard where I want the sheep. So he's done the job for me for that hour.
Yep.
Saves me a lot of time.
And away from trialing, where do you think we're sitting at the moment with the quality utility dog out there? Are they hard to find? Any opinion there at all?
I'll answer first. Look, my life these days is doing working dog schools, and I see a hell of a lot of different dogs all around the country. And I personally, the dog I want, I'm finding it very hard if I want to outcross, hard to find that dog I want.
Yeah.
Because I think that the Kelpie might be controversial, but I think a lot of the Kelpies have lost their good natural cast and their good natural heading ability. And it mightn't be popular saying this, but I think Yard Dogs has done a bit to damage that part of the Kelpie.
They have, yeah.
Because
A lot of people are breeding to the dog that's winning yard trials.
Yep.
And that's doing a lot of damage to the Kelpie breed.
And do you think sometimes us as humans being a little bit more impatient these days has contributed to that as well? I mean, sometimes people just like, let's just make things happen.
Oh yeah, a lot of farmers wait until they see the truck coming down the road before they decide to put the sheep in the yard.
Yeah.
And that's not the way to do it. I don't believe in having stock running at all.
Yeah.
Stock need to be walking, not running.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right there. I don't think stock are generally handled as well as and carefully as they used to be in the old days.
Yep.
Like I know, in the old days, like if you had somebody working and they weren't looking after the stock, they were gone.
Yeah.
But I don't know there's that same degree these days. Like there's certainly people out there that do look after their stock, the way they work them, but I don't think it's to the same degree it used to be in the old days.
Yeah. Good. And Kev, like stepping down from this trial, you've left it in some good hands, mate. It's going to continue to go on.
Yeah, apparently there's some good young people are going to take it over for us. I'll still be here tormenting them and keep it right. And if they look like doing something wrong, they'll know about it. And all my gear is still available for them to use. We just want this trial at Ugara to keep on going. We've got a great setup here now, and we'd like to see it continue on.
And Gary, running utility trials, your own, like yourself, there's a lot of effort that goes.
Oh, there is. Like we run the Australian Utility Championships at Nyngan, and actually my family have been involved, my mother and father, for all their lives. They used to run the Australian Street Sheep Championships at Nyngan for years and years, and Mum and Dad were president and secretary. That was back from about late 50s to about 1974. And then it got not taken away, but they couldn't do it anymore. And then we started up Nyngan again in 1990, and we ran street sheep trials there for a while. A competition called the Classic, actually, which was a combination of you'd enter in the street sheep trial and you'd enter in the yard trial, and you combine your scores, and that was your Classic winner. And they were big days, and it eventually got too big for Mum and Dad, and we only had a very small committee, and we got together, and Dave Motley, and said, well, we're basically interested in utility trial. So we've been running the utility trial out there for, I reckon it's well over 20 years now.
Yep.
And so that's the way we went. And like we're running the Australian Utility Championships now. And yeah, back to what you said, there's a hell of a lot of work in it. And what people don't realise is 90% of that work gets done before the trial.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the hard work.
And
the ladies usually do that.
yeah, my wife and Kate, and like it's a big job. And
I'm glad you give them a mention.
yeah,
Absolutely.
and we're very thankful for their help.
Yeah, well, I certainly couldn't do what Kate does.
No, I'm lost without my wife.
We've actually just stepped away from a little do for yourself, and Gary, you had a bit of a chat there, a bit of a talk, some heartfelt stuff. Can we touch on that? Like,
Well, look, my father was heavily, mum and dad, as I said, were heavily into dog trials. And when I first started, before I was even trialing, I knew Kevin and Kane and whatever. I used to come and help at the end and let go and whatever, and before I was actually trialing. And, when I first started getting really interested, I went to a few Kelpie trials because Dad loved it and whatever. He loved it too. And I saw, when I first went there, it was Chris Stapleton, Jimmy Luce, Steve Wayman, was a bit earlier for me.
Yeah.
But all these people that I really looked up to, Rex Hocking, all those people, and that was a Kelpie trial for me.
Yeah.
And there's not many of them still going. So that's why I said tonight, when I go to a Kelpie trial and Kevin and Kay aren't there, it's going to be really sad.
Yeah.
Because I looked up to all these people when I started. And I wanted to get up as good as they were.
yeah, that's beautiful, man. That's really cool. Kev, on a finishing note, mate, is there anything, like 83 years old, you've been doing this long now, you're going to have a little bit of pressure relieved. What are you looking forward to most about just being able to trial and not carry a bit of a burden?
Taking the pressure off Kay, that's what this is all about.
Yeah.
Because Kay's been finding it very hard now to do all that book work. It's all 3 weeks of stuff on the computer, and a lot of the competitors have got a lot to answer for. Gary will know this.
Yeah,
we're all trial runners, right? So,
If you run a trial, you'll know. The competitors want everything their way, and you try and keep everybody happy.
impossible.
Which is impossible there. Yeah. But I think we've done pretty well here at Jagara. Anybody that's got to work on a Friday, we let them work on the Saturday. Like fellas like shearers who can't take the day off.
Yep.
We let them come on Saturday and work the dog. And I can't see anything wrong with that. And other competitors are quite happy to go along with that. And we're all just a big happy family, I reckon.
Yeah.
It's a great thing.
No,
Trying's a great thing.
no, it is, mate. It's a great community. Actually, speaking of, you guys put some real good scores on the board. All right, hopefully you carry that through in the finals tomorrow. But our nursery workers today, like the quality of the dogs. Actually, I just want to mention that before we wrap up. But the quality of the dogs, but also their stockmanship. Any takeaways?
Kevin, you answer that.
I believe it's the dog schools that help that. Gary does a heap of dog schools. I used to do quite a few, but now I'm down. I did one last year, and the rest of what I do now is just one-on-one at home. But I think that's what's brought those nursery people on board. You get them coming along to your farm and you teach them what needs to be done at a utility trial, and they feel that that's more important than the yard trial. They get very keen, they come along, and the nursery trial is one that I sort of came up with, as you mentioned earlier, and I think that's important to keep that going to get people coming to more utility trials.
Yeah. The information is so much easier to get hold of these days. I remember Dad telling me when he first started, all the old fellas wouldn't tell him anything.
Yeah.
Like there's so many schools you can watch videos on your TV or whatever. There's so many avenues for people to learn. And like I run a lot of schools, and I could run more if I had more time. But and things like even muster dogs, it's unbelievable the interest
Getting
in
traction.
muster dogs.
Yeah.
And we just sort of Kevin and I know would love to see more and more people come over to utility. But the trouble is, a lot of the times people, when they get out in the bigger area, and I've said to you, you reminded me of it, like when you're standing at the casting peg and the sheep are 150 metres away or whatever, and you're not sure of your dog what's going to do the other end, it's fairly daunting.
Yeah.
It's fairly daunting, and then some people get experiences out there that they don't like, and they say, well, right, we're going back to the yard dog trial.
Yeah.
So, but it's you've got to take up the challenge, and it's a very demanding trial. You've got to do a 3-sheep trial and a yard dog trial in 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's the time restriction, which makes it more difficult. You can't be careful about all the way. You've got to fit things moving.
I figured that out pretty quickly today. Yesterday, didn't I?
Yeah.
Mate, on a closing note, is there anything you guys would like to add to the conversation, like where we're at or where you'd like to see it go?
Just continue on with the utility trialing. I've been breeding utility type dogs for 40 years, and I'll continue to do that while having my 2 legs have kept working.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we need to do. Utility dogs, not truck dogs, utility dogs.
Yeah, I agree. And like I say, my main reason for breeding the type of dogs that I do is because that's the dogs I need for my work, and it's the type of dogs I enjoy.
Yep.
And so yeah, what you've got to remember, you've got to breed dogs, or personally, I think that you want, not for the general public. I breed for myself, really.
Yep.
And I know Kevin's got a huge market in that out there, and you've been, breeding utility dogs for as long as you've been.
40 years, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, guys, on behalf of a young fella, watching you guys for a long time now, thank you very much for your dedication and what you've done to the sport to help us come through.
Good.
Thank you. Hope you enjoyed that and have a great night.